White has a rook against 3 pawns that are already dangerously close to promotion. And with that, welcome to the most beautiful chess problems of all time. This is a study by Reti from the year 1928. And yes, Reti is known for such tricky endgame studies. And what's special about this position is that White can still win this game. And before I give too much away, I like to pause the video myself to find White's win. So now's your chance to pause the video, and the correct move is king to f2. But first, let's take a look at what happens if we capture the pawn with the king here. Black approaches and supports his own pawn. And in this position, Black can promote to a queen here, which basically forces us to capture. So I'll just capture here with the king for now. What happens then? Black approaches. In this situation, we don't really have a good waiting move. Let's say we play rook to a1. The king comes closer. And yeah, there's not much we can do here except I'd say either we just repeat moves now, or we bring the king closer, but then comes king to b2. And yeah, then everything just gets traded off. It looks just as grim if we capture here with the rook, because then king to d3 happens here. And again, we can't really do anything meaningful now. We can go after it with the rook again here, but the king supports in time. The pawn just goes through, and so we only get a draw with White. So, back to this initial position. As I already said, king to f2 is the right move. And yes, there are several reasons for that. Let's go through them. So the king comes up to support, which kind of makes sense. And now we can capture this pawn here. And we have the opposition, meaning the 2 kings are facing each other. This prevents the black king from, let's say, getting close to his pawns to provide decisive support. Black now has to use or waste a tempo in an ineffective way. Let's go through it. King to d4, what comes next? What would you play? King to d2, or perhaps to f2? Let's begin with the move, king to f2, shall we? That's not so good because then the king comes in here. And no matter what we do, the king will get to d2. And the rook will sooner or later have to sacrifice itself for this pawn. So for example, it captures here, and in that situation, we only get a draw. That's why in this position, I went to d2 to maintain the opposition. Then of course, black plays king to e4. And now the truth starts to come out a bit. We have to play king to e2. So we haven't lost the position, but we also haven't made any progress. In other words, just insisting on the opposition all the time. That doesn't get us anywhere either. We need to find another plan here to make progress. Because just to quickly go back for a moment, if we capture here, that doesn't get us anywhere, because then comes king to e3, threatening king to f2. And the pawn goes through. The rook has to sacrifice itself again for the pawn, and we only get a draw. That's why in this position, yes, I used a bit of a trick. It's neither king to d2 nor king to f2, but the correct move is rook to g1. Because now we're going to hunt down this pawn here. What does black have to do? Yes, if he wants to fight for a draw in the long run, he'll probably want to support this pawn here. He can do that too. And king to c3 is also a bit of an annoying move, because now we have to find a good move for white. Yes, and this good move is that we go back into the opposition. And now we put black in such an unpleasant Zugzwang position. Pushing this pawn through doesn't help at all, because then the rook will just take it. The king, well, what does he want to do? He'll probably try to get a little closer here. But we just stick around a bit. Cling to this king. And he really can't do anything. Pushing the pawn through still doesn't help, because then the rook will just take it. And if he just moves the king away, well, then we play this golden move. Rook to c1. And the funny thing is, if the king moves away now, well, then it's simple, right? Then we take this pawn with the king, and then here, oops, with the rook. We can also capture this pawn. And if he plays this move here now, well, then that's good. Then we've even won this pawn here with check. And that's an important check, because that means we're just in time to stop the other pawn. That was the solution in this variation. But I held something back. Let's go back a little bit. So, In this position, we assumed that the king wants to support his pawn here and somehow play for a draw. Unfortunately, that doesn't work. Black has an even more annoying try, and I actually quite like it. Black simply says, hey, I'll just take the opposition here and I don't really have to do much else. Instead of aggressively playing for my draw, I just say, I'll stay right here. And as soon as you capture with the rook, the other pawn can go through. So what's your winning plan? Go ahead, dear white player. And yes, I think this is another good position. Pause the video again to try to find for yourself how white can win in this position. And the beautiful thing about this position is it's a very quiet move, but it has a certain symmetry. And I don't want to withhold that beauty from you. It's rook to e1. And it holds everything perfectly. The balance. Here we have this kind of discovered check. And we keep our options open here as to which direction we really want to go with the king. Let's go through it step by step. So it doesn't matter which direction the king goes here. I'll just say king to f4 now. And what do we do now? Now we play king to f2 and say, hey, you're not getting any further here. Supporting your pawn, that's not possible at all. And what was the danger in the other position? Yes, that the king would then say, okay, then I'll just go to the other side. But he can't do that anymore in this position because the rook is now perfectly placed and takes away this motif. How does it continue? King to g4, I suppose. Then we capture this pawn. Okay, and the rest is easy because the king could no longer reach his own pawn in time. That means we're there exactly one move in time and can win this game. And what actually happens in this position if we now, for example, if we simply start chasing the pawn, then black will get there in time, be able to support his pawn, and once again threaten promotion here.